it's Michael with another review, this time a phone. So recently I got the HTC One, the new M8 phone, and it has been pretty good. However, I am sending this S4 back, and I figure I'd take this opportunity to give it a review. Kind of give you some impressions that I had of the phone when I first got it, how it's been holding up, how it's now, is it, still snappy, is it still fast? What is the specs compared to some of the new devices, the camera, the screen, the battery life, things like that. If you guys have any questions about this phone while you're watching the video, please feel free to go ahead and comment in the comment box below. I'd be glad to answer as many questions as I possibly can. And yeah, I just want to interact with you guys and show you guys exactly what I've thought about this phone over the past few months that I've used this. So let's get started. So the Samsung Galaxy S4 was one of the hottest devices last year in the smartphone battle race, and I've had the device for about 4 or 5 months. I wanted to do a review on it, kind of give you guys my initial impressions and how that compares to my final impressions on how I am enjoying the device now. Like I said, I actually have gotten the M8 and I am trading in my S4 for that, so I figured I'd do a review of this real quick before I switch to the new device. And I might do a review or something like that of the M8, my initial impressions on that pretty soon. But as of now, let's go ahead and get into this the Samsung S4 review. So how has it been holding up? What are the pros and the cons? I want to talk about a few pros and a few cons. So we're going to talk a little bit about KitKat, how the KitKat update has affected it, when it comes to speed. Talk about some of the specifications of the device, of the display, the physical device, the camera, and some of the cons. So, the storage. After the update, they had a KitKat update. How the storage affect that? Or how did it affect the storage? How is it, as far as when it comes to speed? The physical device as well, some of the the hangups that I have with that. So first of all, the KitKat update. I got the KitKat update, and it changed a few aesthetic things with the phone, but more importantly, I have to say that it really did help the device. It's a lot smoother now, a lot more responsive, and it just you get some of those new KitKat features as well, like the full screen lock screen widgets. You get the built-in cloud printing, and a few other different like things like immersive mode too, which is really nice for getting rid of the status bar when you're doing different things in applications. Definitely altogether, the KitKat update is probably the best update that's hit the Galaxy S4, and it did actually kind of flatten out some of these icons on the top. It's kind of flattened out some of these UI elements in the notification bar, and it definitely makes it look a little bit better and a little bit smoother overall. So I definitely think that is a good thing. As far as the speed, like I said, the KitKat update has really helped out. It's running a quad-core processor in here, Snapdragon 600, so it's definitely going to run smoothly even still. The Snapdragon 600 is a pretty solid chip. Now, as far as some of the specifications, we're talking about the display, the camera. How does it hold up to some of the newer devices? So over here, I'll go ahead and sneak this little guy in, the HTC M8. As far as the display goes, so how do they compare, right? Well, over here we have an LCD display that HTC uses, whereas over here we have Samsung's AMOLED display. Now, what are the differences? What's the pros? What's the cons, right? Well, when it really comes down to it, it's really hard to say there is a pro or a con to either one. They both have pretty good viewing angles. The viewing angles on these are really, really nice. As you can see there, let me kind of see if I can even kind of focus in on here. As far as detail goes, each one looks really good. Differentiating between pixels is really not something you can do on both these displays. Let's look on this one over here. As you can see, they both look really good. Whites on the AMOLED seem to be a little whiter. Black's a little blacker. and reds and greens pop a lot more. Now, in a lot of instances, the colors are not necessarily very true to life. They're not always perfectly accurate. On the LCD display over here, they're typically much better. Um, Now, the thing about that is, um, it's really just up to you whether you want the more vibrant colors, the punch in the face, colors that Samsung is known for in their displays, or you want some of the more natural looking colors, which sometimes are a little bit more pleasing in the eye. It's really just up to you. As far as the cameras go, in comparison to some of the newer devices, it's still great. We're looking at a 13 megapixel camera, takes 1080p video. It's still really good compared to a lot of the newer devices. I'm currently filming this on the G2, and I find that my Samsung actually tends to take a little bit better video, even though that my G2 has optical image stabilization, a 13 megapixel camera as well. The Samsung lenses are typically very, very good. Now, how about the physical device? How has it been holding up to my usage? Now, I treat this thing like a trophy, like I do with all my phones, so I can't expect all you guys to do that too, but you know, even with my lifestyle and everything like that, it's held up pretty well, and I wouldn't imagine that it would be much different if I was a little bit rougher with the device. The edges here are quite clean looking. There's no bumps or dings or nicks on it. Um, Everything is looking pretty good here. Uh, as far as the glass, I have a screen protector on there, so that's not really that's kind of a non-issue. But everything is pretty good. So as far as the way the device is held up, it's been good, and I haven't had any issues over the past 4 or 5 months. Now, some of the negatives, some of the downsides. One of those I would have to say is the storage on the device. So I got the KitKat update. I was expecting to have a lot less uh, stuff from the software on my device after KitKat, because Google touts that KitKat is supposed to be a smaller, more light operating system. It's supposed to save you, some storage. However, unfortunately, TouchWiz was not very nice to it, and I'm still using about 6.2, 6.3 gigabytes of just system memory here, which is that's kind of ridiculous. So this is not something that's really going to be fixed with an update, unfortunately. And there's a lot of default storage taken up in the beginning, and there's a lot of default storage taken up now. So if you get this device now, get an SD card. If you have it, then you're used to it, and back those pictures up and stuff to keep the storage, because it's not going to get much better with the update. As far as now, one thing I will notice is, so I always have a case on this device, but you really have to be careful. This is has a hypergloss on the back of this plastic, and it gets kind of slippery at times. As you can see, it does leave fingerprints. Typically, plastic is something that does not leave fingerprints, but this hypergloss on it really does. And it feels very slick to the hands. It's easy for it to slip out of your hand. So that's still not something that I'm a huge fan of, but definitely not a problem with some of the devices like the M8 or the Nexus 5. But that's something just to take into consideration. Now, there was actually one small caveat that I had as far as like how the device is physically holding up. So on the back here, on the camera, not actually the camera itself necessarily, but let's see here, but that small plastic or silver ring around the camera. As you can see, it gets really scratched up. Now, it's not a big issue. It doesn't affect the camera, or the pictures you take with it, but it definitely looks pretty bad after a period of time. There's not much you can do about it. This kind of jets up the back when you put it on a flat surface. It's the first thing that touches the ground, so it's bound to happen. But if you notice that after after using the device, that's something that you kind of have to kind of be aware of. So that's the end of my review today for the Galaxy S4. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. I definitely would love to answer it, to interact with you guys, and answer any questions you have about this phone. Check back for more reviews. I'll probably be doing one on the HTC M8 pretty soon. and after I get some more time to use it. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.